Okay, so somehow I figured this layer thing out. I was playing around. I put a flat color on the underneath the group, and then all of a sudden it painted just fine. I'm not sure. There feels like there's something screwy going on, but whatever. Okay, so next crazy thing I want to show. We don't need to see this ortho view, so I'm just going to go. There we go. We don't need to see the UV view for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my layers up. Let's tack them here. And currently I'm painting on the channels. I'm painting on my base color. The trick is to always get your base color done first. Then take your base color. There's a little button here. You can take your layer stack for your base color. I'm going to move it over here. Try to avoid that freaking auto docking. And open this up again. I'm going to switch to my bump. So now there's my bump layers. We've got nothing there. But what I can do is, as I'm working here, maybe I just want the yellow paint and I want this other noise underneath here. I'm going to go and take these, select them all. If you hold down Control and Shift on your keyboard, if you hesitate for a second, it should tell you what to do. And I don't see the thing coming up. Okay, there, I'm going to drag it over, holding down Control and Shift. And I can put that on top, and I can put that into my bump channel. Okay, and since I've done that, can't really see too much going on here because it's really, really subtle right now. It's really, really low. So I'll move in close, and let's see what I can do. If I go into the shader, I can look at the material. I can see there's, from the channels here, you can see my base colors in here, specular roughness, and the bump is here. If I go down further, I can go down here to the bump, and the bump is really, really low. So because my object is pretty big, I have to crank it up to see it. Oh, there it is. Okay. And so, if I go back, I don't need to share this right now, so that's cool. And so now I can see what the hell I'm doing. A little bit harsh, but whatever. If I go to the shared group layer, if I go to the mask here, in the mask I'm on this layer that I'm painting. Right, remember you can't paint on the, oh yeah, bastard. Did this just move and hook up on top? Oh, I hate it when it does this. Move this off from the bottom? No. Okay, whatever. Oh, I did it. Okay, good. Come on. There we go. And what's this? Let's just get rid of this thing. No, that is my, there's my mask. Remember this little symbol means you can paint on it. Okay, so I'm on this layer where I can paint. So as I paint, and I'm painting in black and white values, I checked earlier. Okay, I'm going to close this down as I'm doing this. As I paint, it's going to go and lock it on as I rotate. But there, I'm painting both my bump and my color at the same time. Start to fill up the mask over here. So there's something off. I don't know what it is right away. Okay, so that's cool. Something else I might be interested in doing. Here, if I do this, zoom out a bit. I gotta wait. Baking it down. It took its sweet time. I might consider using some of the other types of. You know what? I'm not going to tell you how to do that yet. There's a trick where I go into the Moto render, and you can bake layers in. What time we have? 4 minutes? Why the hell not? Okay, let's do that. I'm going to close this down, and I'm going to go in here to these Moto render section. When you're in the bake presets, okay, let's go and use, say, the corner rust. Okay, use the corner rust. Okay, and it's thinking about it. Okay, and I can't get to my values here for whatever reason. Okay, let's pin this thing down, and if I go and I pull this open, does that help? Oh yes. So there's my occlusion rays. Really hard to see what the hell I'm looking at here. I'm just going to zoom in and see if it helps. Okay. Occlusion distance 10 millimeters. So I've got this set. This thing's really big, so I'm going to guess 100. Oh, I just switched the cameras. Okay, 100? How's that doing? That seems to be quite a bit. Let's take this and let's make it 10. Okay, that's giving me something that's kind of interesting. Okay, let's use that. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to hit the bake button. We're on 10K, or 1K, sorry. I'm going to hit bake. When I hit bake, I'm going to pause this because it's going to take a couple of minutes. Sometimes if you make these really big, it's going to take a while. Okay, so it did it. It took a moment, but it baked. And you can do this with an AO pass too if you want to. There's curvature and wood. I have to play with more of these. Anyway, if I get back here to the channels now, it has made a corner rust for me. If you want to see what it really looks like, how about this? What we'll do, I'm going to close this down now, close down the Moto Render. If you go to, actually let's do it this way. We'll go to channels and I'll just break it off. Boop. So it's here. I'll lock that. So you've seen how I can pull these stacks off so I can get a hold of this again. Let that fade out. And I'm going to go over here to layers. Right now, I guess for channels, what am I on? I'm on corner rust. I'm going to go back to base color. Okay, and when I'm on base color, we go to layers. Here we are. And I want to take, oh you bastard. Bink, bink. I usually have all these things floating in my other monitor because this drives me crazy. I don't like, and I have them all pinned. I'm going to take this base and I'm just going to hold down Control and Shift and I'll drag it over and I'll put it on top so you can see what the hell it looks like. Okay, so it came in all black and weird. Okay, so if I take this, I could put it into a group. Boop. Right, and maybe I could do things to this. I can right click, adjustment, and how about I do something like invert. Okay, there we go. So it's inverted. I can do more things like add adjustment here. What if I put on a contrast? And I start cranking up my contrast. Okay, it's doing a bit of thinking. And let's bring down my contrast pivot. Come on. Is that right on that one? I thought it would come down. Maybe I'll bring down my contrast more. There. This isn't doing what I was hoping it would do. I might have to do some playing around. What if I hit reset, reset? No, contrast isn't doing it for me. I thought invert. What if I change the order I do these things in? What if I invert on, but I put contrast here? I crank up my contrast a little bit, and I find that little pivot point that I'm looking for where they're different. And I don't seem to see it. I have to crank this up. There it is. That's what I was looking for. So the contrast pivot is really, really low. Okay. It feels like I'm getting some kind of weird setting from something I've set on here previously, and it's coming back to haunt me, and I can't remember what the hell it is. Anyway, there is my little group that I've got. Okay, so I was just checking to see how these things are all working, and they seem to be working fine. Okay, great. I can just turn that off if I want to. But my shared base, if I take this, I want to use it as a mask. Okay, so I want to use it over here as a mask. So let's grab this thing and see if we can do it. If I go to channels, do a trick, I'm going to go here and break that off. Okay, so I got into a floating menu. It's tacked. Okay, I don't need to see any of this stuff here, so I'm gonna just collapse that. I could probably even I don't want to delete that yet. If I go to the mask stack, remember this is kind of advanced what I'm doing right now, so I'm going a little bit beyond the basics. I want this to be in here, so I'm going to take that shared base. I kind of like the contrast and the invert. Actually, I like the whole group, actually. Let's just take that as well. And if I hold down Control and Shift, I can drag this into the mask. And I'm going to hide it again. Okay, I bet you everything's thinking. Should be the merge mask stack. Okay, great. And so now what's happening is with my mask, you're seeing this is revealing this for my corner rust. I'm getting some of that is revealing itself out. And I played with the like all these things here, invert and whatever. If I want to, I can take this whole group. And what if I used it as, let's see, a darken? What if I use multiply? Yee! So now I got all those little corners with a little bit of rust in them. I could spend a bit of time and make this even better, but I'm trying to go fast. But there you have it. It's worked. Also, because this mask is part of a shared layer, it was shared. So if I go and I switch to my bump just to check it out, when I look in the layers, if I go to the mask stack, I should find that sitting in that mask stack too. Okay, so I'm working on multiple levels all at the same time. This might be a bit heavy-handed. Okay, and I got one last thing I want to look at here before I take it over to Maya, and that is, let's look at the roughness. I'm just going to take this base color again. I'm going to break it off. It's already tacked. Move it over here. I'm going to switch this to roughness. Remember, your roughness is basically your glossiness. And that's just the shininess of your surface. So let's hide this. And then I'm going to go to layers. Now we're on roughness. I'll tack. Come on, you bastard. Tack. There. And what do we need? Actually, oh crap, these are all shared. I don't need to share those. I could have moved them over. I could have just kind of, I could have held down Control and dragged them over. Anyway, whatever. I'll work around it. So I'm going to take this here, hold down Control and Shift, and I'm going to push this onto, boop, onto my roughness. Now we're having a problem seeing the roughness here. The roughness is like hard to see with all the colors and the bump. So just waiting for a second. Looks like this is, there it is, it's on. It's going to go to the shaders here for a second, and if I go up, it's going to turn off the base color so it's easier to see what the hell I'm looking at. And I'm going to turn off bump too. So all you'll see, it kicks in. Okay, it's showing me what's going on here. I'm just going to go and do this thing where I create another layer here. And actually, I suppose I could have... Oh, it did it. Almost did it. I go here and I right-click and I make an adjustment layer. I'm going to use something like luminosity. And I'll put the luminosity at the very top. So as I'm doing anything, I might be able to see exactly what I'm trying to pull off here. This has come in extremely white, and okay, extremely white. So I'm just going to go back here to the shaders for a second, and the base color is a complete white, so it's hard to deal with. So I'm going to put that down to like middle gray. Okay, and when I do that, I hit OK. Oh, it's not quite middle gray. Let's go right for middle gray, right there. And now I can see, do I need this anymore? No. I can see that I'm getting this kind of strange surface change here where I've got the shiny area and then I've got this not so shiny area based off of what I'm doing here with the mask. Okay, and pull this up, you're going to see I'm going to get little bits It might have something to do with the lighting here, the way this is looking, but I will get a mask out of this. And as I paint in my shaders here on the masks, it'll blend between the two. And I could put more in. I could spend a lot more time on this. But again, I'm trying to go kind of quick. I'm covering a lot of ground. And just waiting for a second while it all kicks in again. And it's not kicking in fast enough. I might have to pause. Recording, have Maya and Mari open at the same time. My computer might be having some issues. Okay, there we are. Anyway, you're seeing I'm getting some shiny areas. I've got the bump. I've got everything kind of blending together. I could also put in a bit of specularity for reflection and stuff, but I'm going to skip that for now. And let's get rid of this. And I just want to take all this stuff back over to Maya. And I can put decals on too and stuff like that, but or decals, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take this base color, right click, and I'm going to go to export flattened, all channels flattened. And I'm going to try to stick these into the same folder that I'm working on. So Maya Projects Claw, I'm calling it Claw Project 2017, but you know what it is. Source images, great. And I've already got some stuff in here. Maybe I should just quickly, I'm going to wipe that out. I'm looking over at my other monitor, and I'm just going to go in here and source images. I've got all this stuff from previous. Oop. Just delete. And I'll delete those two. And yes. I'll just go back and I'm going to check something. So if I go and I hit the up arrow to travel back up again, and then I go back in, there's nothing there. Great. And I'm going to go to channel. I'm going to leave the number sign channels UDUM. If you have to, you can switch it, but I would probably keep all the channels and the UDUMs because it's going to do everything automatically for you. Export all patches. And export all patches. One problem, I might have changed the automatic linear, but whatever. I'm leaving it for now. And now it's exporting. I'll look down here and I can see it is processing this. I'm going to pause while it's doing this. Okay, so when it moved over to, when it finished, you can see down here it finished. I'm going to go over to Maya and let's start it off. I'll grab everything and I'll assign my shader of choice. Let's go with a AI standard surface. Great. And I'm going to go here. I usually crank up the weight to 1. And when I go to color, I'm going to map this. And when I map it, I'm going to map it with a file texture. Okay. And when I map it with a file texture, if I go browsing, it'll take me directly to my source image folder where I stored everything. I'm going to grab the base color and I'm going to hit open. Okay, and I'm going to hit 6. There we go. So there's my texture for 6. Wonderful. Okay. I'm going to go and take the UV tiling mode and I'm going to switch to UDUM Mari. I'm going to hit generate preview and see what we get. Looks like something's coming in. Oh, there we go. So it's come in. And there's all my color work that I've done. And the color work looks a little dark. It's because sRGB. I'd probably switch it to raw in this case here. Great. Okay. So that worked. Next one, Arnold. When I'm in Arnold, if I go down to geometry, that's where the bump map lives. I'm going to hit that with a file texture. Okay, there's the bump depth, and you can adjust that, make it harsher. I find that 1 is pretty good. If you can keep it at 1, your life is good. That I usually have to dial it down. If I go over here to image name, and I go to bump, and I hit open, great. Tiling mode, switch that to UDUM Mari, generate preview. I think that displays pretty well in here. Actually, I wasn't paying attention. How big are these textures? I made 4K textures. I should have only made 2K textures. I wasn't paying attention. Back in Mari, when I was exporting the channels, yeah, they're all set to 4K. That's why everything's going really super slow. Anyway, whatever. Let's go back here, see what we got. And if I need to, so I generated the preview so we can see everything. sRGB, probably have to switch that to raw again. And boop, see how it works. Might have to do a render to see if it's looking good or not. Oh, it looks like we got some bump action. Bump, and if I crank this up, yeah, it's going to be too much. Usually it's like 0.1 is what I'll set it at and see how that looks. I'll have to check it out when I render. Okay, and let's go back over here. And then the roughness, that's going to live in the specularity. There's your roughness. It's sitting at 0.2 already, but if we map it... okay. Taking its sweet time. And I could have made a specular map too of how much I want it to reflect, but okay, let's come in. Yeah, these 4K maps start to slow everything down. A 4K map is kind of great for your bump and your normal map, but it's not completely necessary for your color map and your spec map and your roughness map. They don't need to be quite as intense. And again, I probably might switch this to raw. Okay, and everything's slowing down. 4K maps are large. And what was the other thing I was going to point out as I do this? Let's just test it out and see if it actually renders. So, it's going to render slow, I know it. Simply know it. If I go here and I'm going to go into my Arnold and I'm going to hit it with render. Okay. I might have to pause in a second here. We'll see how it comes up. Actually, I'm going to pause right now. It's taking sweet time as I'm trying to get over to the pause. Okay. Okay, so I'm recording right now. I think my computer's ready to die because I'm using a bunch of 4K maps. And I'm adjusting the bump depth just to see if I can pump this up a little bit. And we'll see how it's doing in here. Yeah, we're seeing it come in, but it still seems like it's not going to be pretty. Oh, no, it's coming in. That's actually not too bad. I had to crank it up quite a bit because, again, my scene is quite large. And, yeah, it's not looking too bad. For the love of God, don't use 4K maps. Go back and pump them out as 2K maps, and your life will be much, much better. This render time will be slow. And I think... what time are we at? 2023. Okay, if I was doing it in V-Ray, it's pretty much the same thing. There's a few different places to do things, but actually, let's just pause for a second. Okay, I'm just switching it over to V-Ray. I'm going to do the whole thing in V-Ray too. So if I got a V-Ray material, there's your diffuse color, bloop, file texture, great. I'll go browsing, pick out this. You might see these TX files. That's for my Arnold conversion. Arnold converts the textures to a different format because it likes them better. There, generate preview. Taking its sweet time again. Okay, sRGB. I gotta wait a minute. Switch that to raw. Okay, so we got that. And then if I go over here back to this, the reflection, there's the reflection glossiness. That is your roughness. And I'm going to go in here and I'll put in the file texture and I'll go browsing. And the roughness is living down here. Open. and I'll save that for a minute. Screw it, I'll do it. Generate preview. I should have changed the sRGB value right before. Raw. Okay, it looks like it did it. Great. I'm going to go back. Now, occasionally when you're using a roughness in V-Ray, you might need to, when you plug it into your glossing map, you have to use the roughness feature, and that'll flip it. It'll invert the 0 and 1. So, yeah, they work in opposites in V-Ray, and they have a switch for that. And if I go down here and I'm looking for the bump in the normal map, and I go to the map and I hit it with file texture, and I do all these things again. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the bump. Boop, just the top one. And we'll switch that to Udem. I'll just switch that to raw before I even start to hit generate preview. And when I go back here, they have the bump multiplier sitting right here. And then if I go into V-Ray, show the V-Ray frame buffer, which is their renderer, I'm just going to pause this for a second. Okay, so I'm back, and V-Ray takes a moment to kick in, but as soon as it does, everything's fine. When I look, I don't see anything, and what I actually have to do is, when I'm using the roughness in V-Ray, I need to click up the reflection color, and then I can start to see things. And if I want to, there's the use for Nell, or I can bring up some metal action, and that'll give it even more of a, it darkens the image a little bit, makes the spec pump up a little bit. So there you have it, the two different ways to move all your textures back into Maya. And I'm going to stop this right around here.